Farrah doesn't flinch. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Aaron Williams. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on a Wednesday that finds us, well, getting ready for Gator basketball tonight, Florida and South Carolina. Late night tip for the Gators, right? 9 o'clock. On 1010XL, Florida and South Carolina. The Gators looking to rebound from their loss on Saturday to Auburn. They got another big one coming up this Sunday against Alabama. And sandwiched in the middle is this game against the South Carolina Gamecocks. We'll talk about it a little bit before it tips off in less than an hour from now. So we'll spend some time on that. As I told Blue there during the 2-minute drill, I have a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter on the show tonight. So 50 individuals, 50 people, 50, vote on who gets in and who does not get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And of course, yesterday, last evening, major ripples around the sports world when we found out that Bill Belichick, he of 6 Super Bowl rings, the most playoff victories in history for any head coach in the NFL, countless other records, was not voted in the first ballot Hall of Famer. He was not going to get in this year, and people were up in arms about it, and with good reason. I thought it was ridiculous. I still think it's ridiculous 24 hours later. But I thought, well, I could continue to rant about this, which I probably will anyway, or we could talk to somebody who was actually in the room. One of the 50 people who voted on this. Jason Cole, who's been a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter for many, many years. He's been with numerous publications over his terrific career covering the National Football League. I've had Jason on for years. He's a good dude. He's going to join me tonight to not only talk about the Bill Belichick situation, why on earth he feels Belichick did not get in. I will go ahead and tell you, Jason did vote for Belichick to get into the Hall of Fame. He was not one of the ones that did not. I'm going to ask him flat out what was his reaction when he found out, because all the Hall of Fame voters found out last night, right along with us, that Belichick did not get in. And I'm going to bring it back locally, and I'm going to talk about Fred Taylor. As I talked to you guys, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, when the finalists list for the Hall of Fame came out, I was troubled by the fact that Fred Taylor, we always talk about getting into the room. And what does that mean, getting into the room? Well, getting into the room means you get into the room to be discussed as one of the 15 finalists. You think back to Tony Baselli. Tony was in the room and finally got in the room for a couple of years, and he never left the finalist lists until he got into Canton. So you were hoping the same thing was going to happen with Fred. 2 years ago, the first time Fred got into the room as one of the 15 finalists. Last year, same thing, got into the room as one of the 15 finalists. The troubling thing this year is he did not get into the room. He did not make the finalist list. So I'm going to talk to Jason Cole, Hall of Fame voter, about the dynamic of all that. Does he feel ultimately one day Fred Taylor will get into the Hall of Fame? We'll certainly bring up the Belichick saga as well. I think you will enjoy that conversation. That comes up in less than 15 minutes. We will also get into the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 day removed from finding out Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile are both returning in 2026. In fact, we're going to start the program there in a moment. But Mark Long of the Associated Press will join us towards the 9 o'clock hour. as we will discuss what that means for the Jaguars moving forward. And we are well past the halfway point of the NBA season. In fact, the trade deadline is just a few short weeks away. So Sean Devaney, one of my main NBA guys, Heavy.com, will join us to talk about Orlando. They go out to fire their coach. I think they might be close to firing Jamal Mosley. It may happen sooner rather than later. They're one of the biggest disappointments in the league. What about Giannis? Is he really going to be traded before the deadline? We'll talk a little association later on tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us on a Wednesday on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Aaron Williams. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So, we know that Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile are coming back to Jacksonville, which is great news for the Jaguars moving forward. And I'll probably do this at a couple different points this offseason, but one thing I wanted to bring up tonight is something that I mentioned a few weeks ago. You know, as bad as Jacksonville has been over the last 15, 20 years, and they've been plenty bad, there's one thing that's of interest to me that has transpired with this organization over the last 9 years. Take Urban Meyer and that fiasco out. Take 2021 out. That was a disaster of epic proportion. Erase that from your mind. Most Jaguar fans would like to anyway. So take the Urban Meyer year out. Do you realize, aside from Urban Meyer, the last 3 first-year head coaches here in Jacksonville have won the division and gone to the playoffs? Take 2017, Doug Marrone. Now, he was the interim towards the end of 16, but his first full year on the job was 2017. What did Doug Marrone do? Well, he led this team to an AFC South championship. They got into the playoffs, and they ultimately made the AFC title game. Remember that? Miles Jack wasn't down. Fast forward to 2022, the first year of Doug Peterson. What did he do? It's funny you ask. He went to the playoffs as a division champion, beat the Chargers, coming back from 27-0 down. And now here we are, the first year of Liam Cohen. Ironically enough, in his first year, just like Peterson, just like Marrone, he goes to the playoffs after winning the division. But, back to the ironic part, unlike Peterson and unlike Marrone, the Jaguars are one and done in the playoffs. That's an anomaly. That's a weird deal. As bad as this organization has been, as bad as the Jaguars have been for an overwhelming majority of the last 2 decades, of the last 20 years, the fact that Doug Marrone won the division and made the playoffs his first year on the job, 2017, the fact that Doug Peterson won the division, won a playoff game in his first year on the job in 2022, and now you fast forward to Liam Cohen, 2025, his first year on the job, wins the division, goes to the playoffs. But we saw how quickly Marrone and that regime went south, basically 5 games into 2018. We saw how quickly Doug Peterson and that regime went south. Basically, Thanksgiving of 2023 is when the wheels fell off there. Will the wheels fall off Liam Cohen in 2026? Like they did his previous predecessors who went to the playoffs in year number 1? Yet to be seen, but I will tell you this, I would highly doubt it. I love what Cohen's building here, and that goes back to Udinski and Campanile returning for year 2. I don't think you can properly put into words how much that means for the Jaguars moving forward. That is an enormous deal. To have continuity on the staff, to have familiarity on the staff, to have two guys that were sought after to an extent in the coaching carousel. Remember, Udinski interviewed in Cleveland and Buffalo. Campanile interviewed in Miami, Baltimore, and Arizona. But the fact that both come back, to me, reinforces the fact that this is not going to be 2018. This is not going to be 2023. What the Jaguars accomplished year one under Cohen will not be somewhat spoiled like year two was with Marrone in 18 and year two was with Peterson in 2023. I'm not sitting here telling you they're going to win 13 games again. That's a pretty lofty expectation. But I don't believe the bottom is going to fall out like it did Cohen's previous predecessors with Doug Marrone and with Doug Peterson. But again, getting those coordinators back is gigantic. You see Cleveland today, Todd Monken announced as their head coach, 59 years old, first time as a head coach in the National Football League. Did you see the response in Cleveland today? Was not good. People are less than happy in Cleveland, Ohio about the way that worked out. Look, give the guy an opportunity. I thought he did a really nice job at some of the stops he's been at. But when you're going after Grant Udinski and Nate Scheelhaus and all these young offensive minds, and you end up hiring a 59-year-old making his first time as an NFL head coach, I get the frustration in Cleveland. Now, 8 of the 10 head coaching vacancies have been filled. The only 2 that are left, Las Vegas and Arizona. And who knows what's going to happen there. Hard to believe it's about to be the end of January. We're 3 days away from the end of January. The Senior Bowl kicks off on Saturday, and there are still 2 NFL teams without a decision as their head coach search continues. Big news in the National Football League last night with Bill Belichick, 6-time Super Bowl winner, not getting in the Hall of Fame. He was on the ballot for the first time. You would think that's a no-brainer, right? A no-brainer. We've had the talk on this show, and I think it's a legitimate conversation. In 11 days, either the Seahawks or the Patriots are going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, right? Lombardi Trophy. You could make a legit argument that the NFL should change the name of that to the Belichick Trophy. Now, they never will, one wouldn't think. Lombardi is considered to be one of the founders of the National Football League and absolutely revered. But when a guy wins that thing 6 times and is the most successful coach in the history of football, it wouldn't be outlandish to think that one day the trophy would be named after Belichick and not Lombardi. And even having that conversation, which I think is a legit one, and then to think that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, nonsense. I know a lot of people have talked about it today. We certainly talked about it last night. So I thought, you know what? Let's go to one of the 50 people in the room. 50 individuals were in the room when that vote occurred. One of them is my buddy Jason Cole, who's been a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter for many, many years. We'll talk about what happened in that room, why Bill Belichick did not get in on the first ballot, and I will ask Jason Cole about Fred Taylor. Will Fred Taylor ever get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Jaguar fans, I think you're going to want to hear what a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter has to say about that. Jason Cole next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark.
Add a little fun to your morning ride.
It's like we got another show to do.
Dan Hicken.
Great.
Jeff Prosser.
Let's get it over with.
The Drill.
We have a few items we want to straighten out first.
Mornings
I don't think you understand who you're talking to here.
on 1010XL.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. It's just that simple. Now Prize Picks has early payouts. If your lineup is off to a hot start, you have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. At Prize Picks, how you play, it's up to you. Download the Prize Picks app today, use promo code 1010XL, and get $50 in lineups instantly when you play $5 in lineups. Prize Picks, good to be right.
What's up, Duval? I'm Cav Valamic, owner of Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran-owned pool company for over 10 years. We specialize in new pool construction and pool renovations, built on military values, integrity, communication, attention to detail, and honor. Now is the perfect time to start your pool project, so when the heat hits, your pool is ready. As an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, pride in what I do is everything. Let me show you the difference in how my team and I execute your pool project with military precision. Call Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
Put a little hot sauce on your lunchtime listening.
Spicy.
Joe Coward, Matt Hayes, and Leon Searcy. They are XL Prime Time.
4-alarm fire.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios. Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Be the first to discover the best new home community in beautiful Green Cove Springs. Highland Trail, where the rhythm of life slows down. Enjoy green spaces, luxury pools, pickleball courts, winding trails, and more at livehighlandtrail.com. Choose from 3 premium builders, just starting in the 300s.
Oh, at Highland Trail.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group, 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It may be winter in Northeast Florida, but it's one of the most important times to protect your lawn. Prosser here for Jewington Creek Pest Control. Their winterizer strengthens roots and improves cold tolerance. Pre-emergent treatments stop spring weeds before they ever start. What that means is you set the stage for a thicker, greener lawn when spring arrives. Call today to schedule your winter lawn treatment with Jewington Creek Pest Control. Our family serving yours since 1984.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We have a Super Bowl matchup all set. Patriots-Seahawks. A week from Sunday. Boy, raise your hand if you had that back on Labor Day, but those are the last 2 teams that are standing. Of course, the Jaguars find out they get both coordinators back now for 2026, in what will be a very important year for Liam Cohen here in Jacksonville. And certainly the biggest news of the last 24 hours revolving around the NFL is Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Well, there are 50 men that vote on that, or I guess 50 individuals rather, that vote on that committee. One of those is Jason Cole, who's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jason, how we doing, man?
I'm doing great. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, Jason, we always appreciate the time. And look, I want to get to the Jaguars with you. I want to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit as well. But clearly, as somebody who's a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and you've covered the league for many years, and you've been a voter for quite some time, what was your reaction yesterday when news seeped out that Belichick was not a first ballot Hall of Famer? It obviously blew up all over the place.
I was flabbergasted. Look, I understand how 3, 4, 5 people would have not voted for him. Like he's got, if you really take the cheating really, really seriously and have a moral high ground, I get it. That's the only blemish that I see. If it's personality, that's silly. If it's he's coming back, if you think he's coming back to the NFL, A, I don't think that's going to happen, and B, the rules say they can put him in, and C, Joe Gibbs already did this where he made it to the Hall of Fame and then came back and coached. So why are we all worried about it? Look, I look at it this way. There are 5 people in that part of the process. It was the coach, the contributor, which is Robert Kraft, and 3 senior candidates. And that was Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood, and Ken Anderson. If you take those 5 people, and then you take the 15 people who were in the modern era process that we argued about, if you take those 20 people together that we discussed during the meeting, Bill Belichick was the most qualified of all of them in either category put together. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. So that just makes me go, what are we doing? I get it. You can have some objections, but at a certain point, when you have 8 Super Bowl rings and you have 12 appearances, and the 300 wins or whatever it is, like that overwhelms everything else. It just swamps it, and I don't get it. We'll live with it. We'll survive. I assume he'll come up again next year. And I was on the coaching selection committee when we narrowed the list of coaches down to Belichick. And if I'm on it again next year, I'm going to vote for him again next year in that part of the process and put him up again next year, assuming that this is like a 1-year moratorium that some people are going to have. But again, I don't get it.
Of the 50, of the 50 people that voted, the way it's explained to me, and obviously you know this much better than I do, the number seems to be 11 from what I've gathered. Did there have to be 11 no votes for Belichick?
Well, it's not a no vote. It's 11 people left him off their ballot.
Okay.
And just so you understand exactly how this process works, there are 2 separate. There's the modern era guy, the 15 guys. That's a voting process unto itself. Okay. Then there's 5 guys separately. As I just explained, you have the coach, the contributor, the 3 senior guys. And again, that was Belichick, Kraft, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood, Ken Anderson. We have 50 voters. So 50 voters, 5 people. Once we do the presentation for each of those 5 people, when it's all over with, we get to vote for 3 people. All right. So that's technically three votes for each one of 50 people. So that's a maximum number of 150 votes. The most that any one person can get is 50. Okay. And understand that you have to get 80% to get in or get the highest total out of the whole group. That's really hard mathematically. And so I know a lot of people don't like to do advanced math, but even if the one person who gets in gets 40, that leaves 110 votes to be split among 4 people. Well, if you do math, it's 27.5 votes to be, for each one on average. And all those people come out looking about the same. The lower number you get, like the further into it, they all kind of blend together. I thought that Belichick was by far the most pronounced one of all of those guys. That was not the case. And I'm stunned at it. Again, I thought he was the most qualified guy out of everybody to be considered, in either one of the ballots. 11 people, again, to get to 80%, you would have to get 40 votes. At least 11 people left Belichick off. They did not vote for him. You can call that no vote, or you can call it just abstention, whatever you want to call it. But they left him off the ballot. At least 11 people did, for him to not get in. And that blows my mind.
Pro Football Hall of Fame voter Jason Cole with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jason, final thought on the Belichick situation. Obviously, based on what you're saying, I would say it's safe to assume that you voted for Bill Belichick to get in the Hall of Fame.
I'll tell you exactly who I voted for out of that's fine, because you're required to vote for three. You can't not leave somebody off. I voted for Belichick, I voted for Kraft, and I voted for Roger Craig. Those are the three guys I voted for.
As a voter, were you surprised yesterday at, I guess, the anger that many had? I mean, this thing got pretty big last night, and it's continued into today.
No, I'm not. I mean, people care about it. I mean, if they didn't care, there'd be a problem. Like, this is important to people. It's why they're fans. So I get it. I totally get it. And I'm glad that they're passionate about it. That's great for the Hall of Fame. It's great for football. It's a wonderful thing. I don't think that doesn't justify like doing it. Okay, I'm not trying to say, oh, this was great because we got so many people talking about the Hall of Fame. That's kind of silly. But again, I understand why people get angry about it. I'm again, flabbergasted, angry, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I said a lot of things to people privately that you probably could not say on the air. In fact, I know you can't say on the air. You will not do that. But I'm trying to be a little bit more sober about it in this moment, and talk about it more from the intellectual side.
Well, we certainly appreciate you joining us to shed a little light on it. Let me bring it back locally before we talk about the Jaguars. Fred Taylor was a finalist for the last couple of years. I was very surprised, Jason, that he was not a finalist again. And again, you have much more experience on this than certainly a guy like I do. But my thought process was, once you get into that room, we always talk about getting into the room as a finalist. We saw Baselli finally get into the room, and then ultimately he got in. For Fred to get in the room for 2 years and to not be a finalist this year caught a lot of us here in Jacksonville off guard. What's your thought on Fred Taylor?
We're in the middle of a numbers game because they changed the voting procedure for the 2025 class, and then again for this class, it's the same thing, which makes it harder. It makes it harder to get in, period. So only 3 guys got in last year, and I'll bet people $1,000 that if they looked at that list of 15 and they think that 4 or 5 guys should get in from that list, which I do, I will bet anybody that only 3 are going to get in because of a math issue, sort of like what I just described to you previously about the voting with 5. It's a math problem. Okay, there's not going to be more than 3 guys who get in. Okay. And as a result of those, not more than 3 getting in, you leave 12 behind. And then there are more people who come in the next year. Right. So in this year, you had guys like, Drew Brees come in, Larry Fitzgerald came into the room, Jason Witten came into the room. And there was, I think, another, first time candidate who came into the room. Right. Well, when you do that, and there's 12 guys left over from the previous year, and maybe you bring in 4 or 5, a couple of guys got to drop out. Mm-hmm. That's just how it works. So next year, as surprised as you are about Fred Taylor, next year we have Rob Gronkowski coming in up for election, Ben Roethlisberger, Richard Sherman, Adrian Peterson, Andrew Whitworth. The first 4 are like, to me, those are first ballot guys. All right. Or they're very close to first ballot guys. And then Andrew Whitworth is a guy who should be in the room and should be discussed at the very least. Right. That's 5 guys. That means a couple of guys aren't going to get back in the room. And you start looking at a couple, and you start looking at Eli Manning and Jari Evans and Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt, who have been in the room for a long time. One of those guys might not come back next year. So I'm not, the math doesn't work. And when you don't put in 4 or 5 guys a year in the modern side, and I'm not saying you always have to, but again, look at this year's final 15. And I challenge anybody to say that there's less than 12 guys on that who don't deserve to be in the hall, who just, there's not less than 12 guys who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame out of that group. When you start talking about the Marshall Yanders, the Luke Kuechlys of the world, the Torrey Holtz, Reggie Wayne, even Eli Manning, you start talking about those guys, Eli Manning's the closest among all of them to getting in or not getting in. But the other guys, to me, like Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, they should be in. They've had to wait a long time. Now, there are some circumstances why, but now the circumstances have changed, not because there are better players, but because we changed the math on how you do it.
Do you ever see a day where Fred Taylor would get into Canton?
I think it's going to be really hard if we continue this system. I wish I could say yes. I love Fred Taylor. I think I watched those games. I covered the Dolphins. He's still running those games. He's still breaking long runs against the Dolphins in the playoffs or in the regular season on a Monday night. He still owns those games, and he was majestic to watch when he was at his best. But yeah, I think it's going to be really hard.
Pro Football Hall of Fame voter Jason Cole. Jason, while I have you here, I haven't spoke to you since obviously the Jaguar season came to an abrupt end, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago in the playoffs. From 4-13, though, to 13-4 for Liam Cohen in year number 1, the resurgence of Trevor Lawrence to be an MVP finalist. Cohen is also a finalist for Coach of the Year. What did you make of the 2025 Jacksonville Jaguars?
I was impressed with how they got better as the season went along, and I was impressed with it seemed like he was starting to get the most out. And he was starting to get the most out of the quarterback, right? Like it was starting to work. And, the quarterback has been a problem for a while, right? He's just not, we've talked about it before. He's as talented as they get. I think he works hard. I think he's a good leader. I think he's, he's a lot of very positive things. But in critical moments and critical games, he comes up short. And he was earlier in the season. I thought there were a couple of games where Trevor didn't quite make the plays that he needed to make. And you're like, oh, okay, it's the same old thing. Well, that smoothed out as the season went along. And I know that there's that famous one that we're kind of arguing on the field, and people were like, oh, they don't get along. They're never going to. It's like that. People don't understand how football works.
Yeah.
They don't understand personalities, right? And sometimes guys yell at each other because that's just their way, that's their way of communicating. Some guys don't. Some guys yell at each other and then they can't talk. But some guys yell and they get it out of themselves. And then it's like, okay, what do we got to do? And I think that Trevor Lawrence is that guy who, can give it, can take it, and will look and go, okay, how do I get better? And somebody finally got on him a little bit, and Cohen did it, and it worked. Now, is it going to work next year? I don't know. It's sort of like the people who come to me and say, oh, Sam Darnold finally turned that corner. He's that great quarterback everybody expected him to be. It's like, okay, I saw it, and if he did it once, then he could do it again. That's a true thing. But that doesn't mean he will do it again. So run it back. Show me consistency, year after year after year. Show me you can make the big plays year after year after year. Show me the growth. And that's why you have to stick with a guy like Trevor Lawrence to get through those ups and downs. And maybe it turns into what you're expecting. At least for 1 year, you were on a very positive track.
Jason, final question, 60 seconds. I can't have you on without getting a quick thought from you on the Super Bowl a week from Sunday. Again, Patriots, Seahawks. I don't think many people had this one pegged at the beginning of the year. Two really good stories, including Sam Darnold, as you mentioned. What's your make of the Patriots and the Seahawks a week from Sunday in Super Bowl 60?
Well, I mean, I think like everybody, you look at the Seahawks and their defense is outstanding. I don't think it's Legion of Boom level outstanding. I don't think it's quite measures up to that, but it's outstanding and has covered up for Sam Darnold for a long time. Sam Darnold finally had that big explosive game when they needed him. I will also say, like Jackson Smith and Jigba, there are times like I just had a feeling that Sam Darnold could come to the line of scrimmage and look at the defense and go, I'm throwing it to him and you can't stop me, right? Like he just told him. So I love that kind of momentum. I will say this: Mike Vrabel is a Bill Belichick devotee. He knows how to take away the best player on the other side. He'll come up with a plan, whether it works or not. He's going to come up with a plan to take away Smith and Jigba, and I think the game will largely be determined on whether that plan is effective or not. And I give New England a fighter's chance. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, I would be betting on Seattle.
Jason Cole has been an author of many terrific sports-related books over the years. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and he is certainly a very busy guy today with the big news of Bill Belichick not getting in the Hall of Fame, although Jason was one of the ones that indeed voted for Bill Belichick to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jason, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Excellent. Thanks, Ryan. Take care. Bye.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies. Your home team's radio home.
To the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional, and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what? Also, objection.
You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, is that a turtleneck? Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air, a definite nip. I mean, it is January. In Jacksonville, Jason. I didn't come here for cold. Well, I wouldn't call this. Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter. So, switch over to heat. What if my system can't remember how to heat? Dude, put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing can make sure your system is ready to switch from cooling to heat. We'll clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell and make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat. I had no idea these sunglasses worked in the winter.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday evening, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Again, I want to thank Jason Cole, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. Thought he had some really interesting thoughts. I mean, look, he was in the room. He's one of the 50 people that votes on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He used the term flabbergasted when he found out that Bill Belichick was not getting in on the first ballot. So you could tell that even people that voted in the room, one of the 50, a lot of those folks were as shocked as we were last night. And then bringing it back locally, I didn't like what he said about Fred Taylor, but I kind of understand it. I mean, Jason is a Fred Taylor fan. He's told me that for many years, but it's a numbers game now with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You know, they only put 3 or 4 people in last year. You got folks like Jason Witten and Larry Fitzgerald and Drew Brees coming on the ballot this year. As he mentioned, Gronk and Roethlisberger, Adrian Peterson, Richard Sherman coming on the ballot next year. I mean, look, it's tough. It's tough. We said for a long time, at least 3 or 4 years, that there was a window where Fred could potentially get in. And Fred got to the finalists room, right? He got to within the vote of getting in. Unfortunately, he did not get enough votes to get in on either occasion that he was one of the 15 finalists. And now he finds himself not in the room again. He did not make the cut for the final 15. And you just don't like it when a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter says it's going to be tough for Fred Taylor to get in. I appreciate the honesty of Jason Cole. And look, Frank Gore is going to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Good player, borderline great player. Frank Gore is going to get in due to a Career Achievement Award, all right? You look at Frank Gore's numbers, and he played forever. I mean, he's third all-time in rushing, so he's going to get in, but he played forever. Frank Gore in his prime versus Fred Taylor in his prime. To me, it's not even close. And maybe I have my blinders on here, but it's not even close. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't look good for Fred, at least for the foreseeable future. And we'll see what happens, on down the road. But as Jason laid out to you, they're starting to get some stipulations with how many people they can let in on a yearly basis. It's a whole process now. And I wonder if the process is going to change, particularly after the Belichick stuff yesterday. Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio actually released a statement thanking everybody for their passion on the topic. Obviously, that's a little bit of damage control. But in the same statement, they also said towards the bottom, if it appears that any shenanigans basically were afoot during the voting, that they might remove people from the committee. Well, look, I don't know how you don't vote for Bill Belichick to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. More importantly, I have no idea how 11 people out of the 50 did not vote for Bill Belichick to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That is a truly, truly puzzling one to me. So we'll continue the conversation, but I thought it was good to have a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter on to obviously let you hear from him about not only the Belichick situation, but about Fred Taylor and his candidacy moving forward. Again, big news in the NFL today. Todd Monken named head coach of the Cleveland Browns. That means as the dust begins to settle on the coaching carousel, all right, New York Giants, John Harbaugh. Atlanta Falcons, Kevin Stefanski. Miami Dolphins, Jeff Hafley. Now you got the Baltimore Ravens with Jesse Minter. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike McCarthy. The Tennessee Titans with Robert Saleh. You got Buffalo with Joe Brady. And now you have Cleveland with Todd Monken. I don't know, Aaron, how many of those guys kind of blow your socks off. I think, look, McCarthy's interesting in Pittsburgh. Very good coach. I know a lot of Steeler fans aren't over the moon about that one. John Harbaugh obviously has the credentials, but is the fire still there after 18 years in Baltimore, basically starting over in New York? I do think the fire is there for Kevin Stefanski and Robert Saleh. Failed attempts at their first venture as a head coach. Both guys now getting a second chance. We shall see. But of the 8 guys that have been hired, do any of them jump out to you and say, yep, that's the best hire so far?
I think the combination of Saleh and Daboll in Tennessee is going to do well for them. I think I'm more just happy about it just because of that little interaction with Saleh and Liam Cohen. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
Certainly spices up the Titans-Jags rivalry again.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But I mean, out of all of them, I love the John Harbaugh one. I personally am one that thinks that Giants defense, or excuse me, the Giants roster from top to bottom is loaded. They just needed a coach. Daboll just wasn't getting it done. Now they have the coach. I think, around this time next year, maybe not Super Bowl, but they're definitely going to make some noise in the NFC East and probably in that playoff, make a deep playoff run as well.
To me, and we got to go quick here, I agree that name value-wise, Tennessee did very good with name value with Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll. Saleh failed during his time with the New York Jets. Good defensive guy, but he failed as a head coach. Brian Daboll was a terrible head coach, probably a better coordinator. The problem that Daboll has is you can't bring Josh Allen with him, right? It'd be nice to bring Josh Allen with you from your time as a coordinator in Buffalo to Tennessee. It doesn't work that way. You get Cam Ward. Robert Saleh, kind of the same thing. You don't get to bring Fred Warner or Nick Bosa or any of those guys. You have to kind of do it with what's there. Jeffrey Simmons, and Tennessee does have a lot of money to spend in salary cap room. They do have a lot of money that they can invest in free agency. I think most people will look at Saleh and Daboll and say, yeah, that's a good combo. It's a good name combo. I mean, it's, a good name combo. Will it actually bear fruit once the games start being played in September? We will wait and see, but I agree with you. The fact that Saleh is in the South now kind of adds the intrigue back up a little bit into that Jaguar-Titan rivalry. We'll talk more about the Jacksonville Jaguars with Mark Long of the Associated Press. He joins us coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. Coming up next, the Gators are about to tip off in Columbia, South Carolina in less than 20 minutes as they take on the Gamecocks. Let's quickly preview that game prior to tip-off. Florida and South Carolina. That conversation next on a Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
The votes are in for the Folio Weekly Best of Jax Awards. The award for Best Sports Radio Show goes to
Helmets and Heels.
The winner for Best Radio Sports Anchor is
Dan Hicken.
Hear them every day on 1010XL.
Hacker here, and I'll admit something I don't love admitting. At some point, you just kind of get used to being overweight. Not happy about it, just used to it. Like, yeah, this is me now. That was my mindset. I tried stuff, took the meds, cut carbs, all of it. And when none of it really worked, I remember thinking, all right, I guess I'm just going to have to live with this. And that sucks. I didn't like saying it out loud, but that's where I was. When I finally started Awaken 182 years ago, I wasn't fired up. I was skeptical. I just didn't want to feel stuck anymore. Then 4 weeks went by where we are right now in the new year, and I was down 35 pounds in a month. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't broken. I just needed the right plan for me. That's what Awaken 180 gave me. That's what they'll give to you. Look, there is no magic pill that lasts. There is no healthy diet giving the results I got. There is simply Awaken 180. And you can talk with them today. Go online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Kendall Dixon, senior soccer and lacrosse player at Atlantic Coast High. Kendall is a member of the National English and Science Honor Societies and is president of the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Kendall.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Looking for that designer engagement ring like Tacori or Viraggio? Then hear this. The only locally owned authorized dealer here for these exquisite rings is Beards Diamonds. Beards is your destination for the top names in bridal design. Tacori, Viraggio, Sylvie, Gabriel & Company, Gnome Carver, and more. If she's seen it on Pinterest or in a bridal magazine, Beards has it. Exquisite, handcrafted, and made in America. So you can get her the ring of her dreams without having to go to one of those national mega chain jewelers. At Beards, there's no big company rules, no Wall Street sales goals, no impersonal service. The non-commissioned experts at Beards Diamonds will take their time and let you see dozens of ring styles from all the most sought-after designers. Beards is proud to be Jacksonville's premier jeweler for nearly 45 years. We're committed to this area and promise an authentic, refined, and risk-free experience. Without markups, without pricing games, without corporate red tape getting in the way of making you happy. Beards Diamonds, Jacksonville's diamond store. At the shops at St. John's Town Center.
Former Russian political prisoner and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Vladimir Kara-Murza takes the stage at the Center for Performing Arts. Hear his powerful story of courage, imprisonment, and freedom February 3rd. Get your tickets now at thefloridaforum.com.
Get a healthy start in 2026. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to help you get healthy and stay healthy all year long. Our dedicated team is committed to providing high-quality care and trusted public health services for our community. Our mission is simple: to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Learn more about our programs and services by visiting duval.floridahealth.gov.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us till 10 o'clock, approaching halftime on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Again, Mark Long of the Associated Press coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, talking Jaguars and the return of both Grant Yudinsky and Anthony Campanile. Later on in the 9 o'clock hour, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, as we are past the midway point of the NBA season. We'll talk a little Orlando Magic. Are they about to fire their coach, Jamal Mosley? We will also talk about the NBA trade deadline. Is Giannis really on the move? And you say, well, no way. Keep in mind, it was a year ago near the trade deadline that Luka Doncic was traded. So don't ever say no way when it comes to the NBA trade deadline after what we saw a year ago. Coming up in Columbia, South Carolina in less than 10 minutes, Florida and South Carolina on the basketball floor. Florida looking to rebound after their loss to Auburn this past Saturday. Look, I'm going to be very interested tonight. Should they beat South Carolina? Yeah, they should. They're the better team. They're on the road It's a late start. I get it, but Florida should win. But I'm very curious as to how Florida's going to respond tonight. They've lost 6 times this year. The first 5, Arizona, Duke, UConn, TCU, Missouri, boy, they were in every game, man. They could have realistically won all of those games with 30 seconds to go. Ball didn't bounce their way. Tough breaks. They lose, but they were in every game. This past Saturday, at home in Gainesville, boy, they got taken to the woodshed. I mean, Auburn, like we talked about a little bit last night, just punched them in the mouth. Auburn was the more physical team. Auburn looked like the more desperate team. And Auburn, quite frankly, was the better team on Saturday. And for Florida to go out there in front of the home crowd and put forth a performance like that was eye-opening after they had won 9 of their previous 10 games prior to their loss to Auburn on Saturday. So, if you're the defending national champions and you get punched in the mouth like that, you get your nose bloodied a little bit, how are you going to come out and respond? One would think they're going to come out and respond fairly well tonight, which is what I'm going to be looking for, particularly in the first half of this game against South Carolina, because you would think from Saturday to Wednesday, Florida has had 4 days to contemplate getting boat raced essentially on their home floor. The final score was, I think, 76-67. I thought Auburn outplayed Florida worse than that. I think Florida was, quite frankly, lucky to only lose by 9, if that makes sense. It was just not a good showing from the Gators. I certainly hope and expect to see a better showing this evening. But this is kind of a sandwich game. You lose to Auburn, you play South Carolina, and then you have that big one on Sunday against Alabama. Very curious to see how Todd Golden and the defending national champions come out and play. Remember, the South Carolina road game last year was a great one. Will Richard hit a shot with 5 seconds to go, capping off a huge comeback, and Florida ultimately won the game, kind of stole the game from South Carolina. Can they go back up to Columbia and do it again for a second straight year? That ball game tips off in less than 10 minutes, and we will certainly keep you updated on what is going on. Coming up next, back into the Jacksonville Jaguars as we enter the 9 o'clock hour. Grant Udinski back, Anthony Campanile back, both coordinators who flirted with other teams. Udinski got interviews in Cleveland and Buffalo. Campanile got interviews in Miami, Baltimore, and Arizona. Both are returning for 2026. Let's talk to Mark Long of the Associated Press and find out his thoughts on both guys returning and what it means for Jacksonville moving forward into year number 2 of the Liam Cohen tenure here in Duval County. Mark Long of the AP joins me next as we enter the 9 o'clock hour. Jacksonville, we're with you till 10 right here on Hacker After Dark.
High school. Check. College. Check. Pro. Check. We've got you covered.
This is big time ball season.
1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
This is the kind of sandwich you don't rush. French dip at Firehouse Subs. Premium roast beef loaded with caramelized onions, melted provolone cheese, and topped with Italian seasoning. Stacked on a toasted garlic bread roll with hot au jus for dipping. For a limited time at Firehouse Subs.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
The Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach is better than ever. Come experience our new renovated spaces, including an expanded wellness center with upgraded state-of-the-art equipment, recovery solutions, brand new locker rooms, and the Horsell Center for Health and Well-Being, all designed to help you feel your best. And now you can join with no joining fee. Plus, enjoy your 4th month free. There's no place like this place. And you'll love what's new. Visit the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach.
Game days aren't the only win happening in the 904. Best of Old City named 904 Gutters with a Z, the #1 seamless gutter company in Duval. Like the team's O-line protects their QB. Call the winning team at 904 Gutters with a Z to protect your home from the rain.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
What's up, Duval? I'm Chad Volamic, owner of Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran-owned pool company for over 10 years. We specialize in new pool construction and pool renovations, built on military values, integrity, communication, attention to detail, and honor. Now is the perfect time to start your pool project, so when the heat hits, your pool is ready. As an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, pride in what I do is everything. Let me show you the difference in how my team and I execute your pool project with military precision. Call Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, letting you know that Hardball now offers web stores, so your employees can order their own branded gear, and you have more time for Wordle. Check it out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. It's been a big week for the Jacksonville Jaguars, an important week as we find out that both Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile will return to Jacksonville in 2026, despite 5 combined head coaching interviews. And it looks like Udinski was a finalist in Cleveland, Campanile a finalist in Arizona. Both guys will be back in 2026 with the Jaguars. Let's talk about that, the impact that'll have moving forward with Mark Long of the Associated Press. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mark, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Hack?
Hey, Mark, we're good. Thank you for the time. All right, I'll ask you about the guys individually in a moment, but a mile-high view, the fact that both Udinski and Campanile are coming back in 2026, how important is that for the Jaguars?
Well, it's huge. It's absolutely everything. Continuity is key, especially when you're trying to build a program and you're talking about 1 year. This isn't year 3 or 4 where, you know, you're just, maybe it's all rolling, right? And everybody knows what they're doing and everybody knows the approach. It's year 1, right? It's the end of year 1. It's going into year 2. And you want to have as much continuity as possible. And it starts with, obviously, the head coach, general manager, all of that staying the same. And then it goes directly to the coordinators. And even though Udinski doesn't call plays, he's still an integral part of what they're doing. And if you talk to people behind the scenes, he's really the key to kind of unlocking Trevor Lawrence. It was Udinski and some of the stuff he was doing and some of the communication stuff. And, he really helped Trevor be able to see and understand and get a real good feel for the offense and play at his best down the stretch. And then, Campanile, you cannot look at that defense and not see, some unbelievable strides. This is not a defense that's loaded with talent. He took guys really essentially pretty much the same defense that was there, key guys anyway, and just complete 180, turned them around, got them to make big plays, step up in crunch time and do all the things needed to turn around a defense. So these two guys are huge. You're going to get unbelievable benefits just from having continuity on both sides of the ball. You're not going to have to install or reinstall or change anything in terms of the playbook and where these guys. So they're going to pick up when they start in the offseason program here. They're just going to pretty much be able to pick up where they left off, which is saying something when you're talking about a team that won 11 games in the regular season.
Mark Long of the Associated Press.
Wait, 11 games. I said 11 games, 13 games.
Yeah, I was going to let that slide, but 13 games, absolutely. Mark, you talk about Grant Udinski. All right, let's begin with him. What I was taken aback by is I did radio with a Cleveland station and a Buffalo station in the last week, and listening to their callers and just the hosts, quite frankly, a lot of people up there did not know very much about Grant Udinski at the start of this. But by the end of it, they wanted Udinski to be their coach with the Browns and the Bills. And I think you're going to find that more and more with Grant. And I do think this is probably a one-year rental, right? I mean, if they're anything like they were in 2026, like they were in 2025, Udinski's a coach 12 months from now, correct?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, and I think he's super smart. He comes off really well. Obviously knows football. Has got an unbelievable mind for it. 30 years old, right? So you're taking a little bit of a chance because he's going to be younger than many of the players on your team. But and here's the other thing: heck, he hasn't called plays yet. He didn't call plays in Minnesota. He hasn't called plays in Jacksonville. So that to me would be the one thing. And I wonder if his agreement to come back, and I'm sure he got more money, maybe even got an extension. But I would think that the next stage for him would be to call plays in some capacity. And I'm not saying he's going to call plays in Jacksonville, but could you see a scenario where maybe he calls plays in the preseason, or maybe he calls plays, in certain, maybe in a second half of a game, or, I don't know. I just think that there's some scenario where that would be the next step for him. And if he's able to put that on his resume, then yeah, in 12 months from now, he's surely a goner. You don't go through this amount of, of the stage, right, of interviewing and become a finalist without then the next step being a head coach. Someone will be in awe of this guy, be wowed by this guy. We are. The people who talk to him on a regular basis are wowed by him. So why wouldn't owners and general managers? And then when you look at the results on the field, if you win, 13 games again, or even 11, like I suggested, 11 or 13 games, this guy's almost a shoo-in as an offensive coach who's, been the one guy who's taken Trevor to the next level to get a head job somewhere else.
Udinski was a finalist in Cleveland. As far as Campanile goes, he was a finalist in Arizona. He also spoke with Baltimore and Miami. Kind of a similar question, right? I mean, if the Jaguar defense is anything resembling 2025 this upcoming year, Camp's going to be in very high demand again next year.
Yeah, same thing. Again, well-spoken guy. He's got an edge to him. He's got a lot of attitude, a lot of personality. He comes off fantastic talking to him. It's obviously you see the New York side of him. And if that doesn't put you off, and I'm not saying it does, but I could see where maybe somebody would be like, I don't know if this guy's going to work with our fan base. But my goodness, this guy would be a dream in the Northeast for any of those teams up there in terms of, he's one of them, right? He is as down to earth, Italian guy, just absolutely probably a little stereotypical, I think you could say, cartoonish sometimes, but fantastic coach, fantastic guy, great to be around. And he would be easy to identify with a lot of fan bases, maybe not even just the Northeast, but obviously that's where he's got his roots and certainly feels like that would be a perfect fit for him.
Final moments with Mark Long of the Associated Press. Mark, final Jaguar-related topics. I want to branch out into the Gators here with you in a moment. As far as Liam Coen goes, look, when you go from 4-13 to 13-4 in your first year on the job, that's unbelievable. But with that will come high expectations for both the Jaguars and Coen in 2026. And the fact that he does not have to replace both coordinators and there's familiarity surrounding him now, I mean, that's a giant weight off his shoulders, correct?
Oh, huge. It's huge. It's everything to be able to not go in there and have to reinvent anything. He talked about it a little bit last year. I mean, he added 50. He lost 50 pounds since this time a year ago. And the reason he had gotten so overweight and wasn't eating right, wasn't living right, was slamming Red Bulls at night to stay awake, was because of the stresses of this job, of trying to put together a staff, of trying to develop a playbook, of trying to get all the pieces in place. Well, now you've got proof of concept. What you did worked. So now it's tweaking, right? You're going to tweak some things here and there. You're certainly going to have to replace some guys on both sides of the ball, but all of the heavy lifting is pretty much done. Not only do you have everything in place but you have proof of concept that what you did worked and worked well, worked to the tune of a division title, worked to the tune of a home playoff game, worked to the tune of, the number 3 seed, all of that. So, are there challenges ahead? Absolutely. Number one is going to be a tough schedule, right? You play a first place schedule and that changes everything. You're going to have, 4 or 5 games that last year seemed like, would have been against, I don't want to say inferior teams, but certainly similar teams, last place teams, third place teams. Now all of a sudden you got this, you're going to have a little bit of a juggernaut. But again, what works, that what you're trying to do works, how to get it done. And you got all the pieces in place, the key pieces in place to turn around and run it back, which is probably going to be a theme for them when you look at how many guys they're going to have back on both sides of the ball, having back both coordinators, having back your main play caller, all those pieces in place. Even if you don't have a first round draft pick, you're looking at a ton of picks and rookies coming in, and you didn't get a lot out of most of the rookies from last year. So you're going to have, almost 20 new guys kind of folding in the mix, getting increased roles. And it's a lot comforting for them to have, a system in place and everybody around them know what they're doing.
Mark, I lied. I forgot to ask you this one important question that I'm asking everybody I have on. Give us 30 seconds. Devin Lloyd, Travis Etienne, have they priced themselves out of Jacksonville?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think both have. And it's not, they'd love to have them back, but you can't re-sign everybody. Obviously, they got to make a decision on Trayvon Walker, not this year, but probably next year. They do need some pieces here and there, and they're over the cap. I mean, even with the cap going up to, I think the number's like 305, maybe 305 million. They'll have a little bit of space, but not a ton, not enough probably to bring back Lloyd and Etienne. And you got to ask yourself, is what Lloyd and Etienne did, how much of it is repeatable? And I certainly think it is with Etienne. I don't know if it is with Lloyd because, you get right place at the right time, making those plays, returning interceptions for touchdowns. Those kinds of things aren't generally considered repeatable year to year. So I would think you let them walk, and mostly because you've drafted behind them. You know, they've drafted 2 running backs last year. They drafted, Kaiser last year at linebacker. So they've got Ventrell Miller waiting in the wings. And if you talk to, people in the building or not this time last year, but last July, they thought Ventrell Miller might be the opening day starter over Devin Lloyd. So I think when you add up all of that and all the pieces and all of the, the fact that they don't really play premium positions, running back and inside linebacker, I think you probably just let them walk and move on and spend your money maybe in better ways at pass rush, offensive line, things like that.
Mark Long of the Associated Press. Mark not only does a great job covering the Jaguars, he's obviously does a great job, has so for many years, covering the Florida Gators. Mark, I think the initial shock value of not getting Lane Kiffin is probably worn off for Gator Nation because they're looking at John Sumrall. And look, we can't assess wins and losses till September. It's talking season, and all we can talk about and react to is what he's done. And what he's done is keep Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, Jaden Baugh, Jaden Woods, and Miles Graham, and been unbelievably active in the transfer portal. I mean, if you're a Gator fan 6-7 weeks into this, don't you have to be a little intrigued with what Sumrall's been able to accomplish so far?
Yeah, I wouldn't call him a home run right now, but I would call him a very, very solid double, right? Keeping those 5 guys, they were the 5 key guys Sumrall and General Manager Dave Caldwell identified as, hey, these are building blocks. And they managed to keep all 5 of them from hitting the transfer portal, some of them flirted with the portal, of course. But, you get those guys, and you got those guys $5.2 million for the 5 of them. So it's not, it's not bank-breaking kind of money, when you're trying to build a program and raise money and raise the floor and all that stuff after years of, basically waste over there under Billy Napier. To have, building blocks like that is everything. So got those 5 guys. They went out and got the quarterback, Aaron Philo, to compete with, Tramel Jones Jr., Jacksonville kid. That's it. That's it. Those are your building. Everything else, we'll see. Who knows? Some of these transfer portal guys, how they fit. What they do. Signing class. Where do these guys fit? All that's to be seen. John Sumrall said, we talked to him Saturday last week, and he said, I'd love to have another portal period, a portal window after I get to see this team on the field. It's great that you're adding all these pieces and, you're collecting talent, but until you see it on the field and how it fits together and how these guys play when the kind of the lights turn on, so to speak, then that's when you find out whether you have a team or not and whether you have any holes or not. So, he looks at this and he goes, man, I'd love to have a second portal here to identify my team, look at it, get a good feel for the team and what it's capable of, and then maybe go add a player or two, a missing piece. He's not having that piece of the puzzle anymore. He's that stinks for first-year coaches probably more than everybody else, but he understands it. But that tells you they have some, for him to even say that, tells you he's got a lot of unknowns. I think it starts on the offensive line. They did a little bit, but not a lot. They didn't spend big-time money up front on the O-line and maybe even in the back end where they got a lot of new faces in the secondary. So those 2 areas of, I wouldn't say areas of concern, Hacker, but I'd say at least areas of let's watch to see what they've got at those 2 positions. I think they know what they got. They have an idea at quarterback. They know what running back with Jaden Baugh, defensive line, linebackers, a lot of those guys are back, receivers, a lot of those guys back. But everything else, O-line, tight end, secondary, are question marks going into spring football.
Yeah, if you're a Gator fan, I saw a video of John Sumrall getting a commitment from Amari Nugent, that 4-star corner out of American Heritage, on Saturday. It went on social media, And to see Summerall's reaction and engagement with that high school player that was his first commitment as the head coach of the University of Florida, if you don't watch that as a Gator fan, don't get fired up about what you may have with Summerall, then I don't know what to tell you. Again, we won't find out win-loss-wise for 8 months, but certainly, at least in my opinion, it's been very, very good about 2 months in to his tenure. Mark Long of the AP. Mark, I know you're busy, man. Thank you as always for the time, and we'll talk soon, pal.
Hey, thanks for having me, Hack. Appreciate you.
XL means.
Your signal, that means. Yeah, that's what that means. It's so cool.
Jacksonville Sports Radio. It's 1010XL.
Hey, Hickett here. The big game is almost here. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code 1010XL. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code 1010XL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
There's no doubt that we were in good hands when our son's shoulder and hip issues were diagnosed quickly by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. No matter what your orthopedic issue is, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take a look. You'll be glad you did.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Annie Craig Charnley, senior basketball player at Wilson High. Annie is the co-president of the National Honor Society and is on the AB Honor Roll and the AP Scholar Award.
Checkmate.
I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the adorable chess man on the tracks.
There are two things you should ask yourself about your garage floor. How clean is it now, and how clean would you like it to be? A typical bare concrete floor doesn't just collect dirt, it makes dirt.
It is literally made of dirt.
As much as you sweep and mop, the dust and grit just never ends.
And drips from your car seep into the pores, staining the concrete forever.
A Checkmate multi-layer floor resists drips and stains. It comes in your choice of dozens of colors and sweeps up sparkling clean in just seconds.
No need to wear shoes in the garage and track dirt back in the house.
Gorgeous?
Check. Durable?
Check. Tidy enough to walk on wearing clean white socks? Checkmate.
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit CheckmateCoatings.com. That's CheckmateCoatings.com.
Finding the right plumber to reline your cast iron pipes doesn't have to be a stressful experience. When you hire Superior Plumbing and Pipelining, you can rest assured you're getting the best in the industry. At Superior Plumbing and Pipelining, we're so confident in our work that we encourage you to get multiple estimates. Look at each company's reviews and check the scope of their pipelining work to make sure it's what you're expecting. But at the end of the day, make the superior choice. Superior Plumbing and Pipelining. Request a free estimate at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional, and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Thank you to Mark Long of the Associated Press for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. They are underway in Columbia, Florida, and South Carolina. And the Gators have come out and did exactly what I wanted them to. After they got punched in the mouth against Auburn, they're playing what you would consider to be an inferior opponent on the road tonight in South Carolina, and they have an early 18-8 lead on the Gamecocks. Urban Clapchar just hit a 3 to put them up 10. South Carolina calls a timeout midway through the first half. Florida up 10. Aaron, that's what exactly you want to see if you're a Gator fan, man. After a loss like that against Auburn on Saturday, where for the first time this year, you were out physicaled, you were out toughed, and you were just simply beat in a basketball game on both sides of the floor. Probably a lot of soul searching for the Gators in the last 72 to 96 hours. And it's early, but they've come out tonight and they're responding the right way.
Yeah, I mean, you want to come out and respond after a hard loss the way that they did. Like you said, they got beat up last week. And what better way to come out against a team that you're supposed to beat, that everyone expects you to beat, and you come out there and do the things that you do. That's how you get the morale going, the confidence getting back. And I expect them to handle this and then be well-equipped to beat Alabama on Saturday.
Again, it's early, but Florida 18-8 over South Carolina. We will talk a little hardwood as well, NBA variety, coming up here in, where are we at, about 10 minutes or so. We're so caught up in the NFL and the Jaguars, and with good reason, right? Yet you look, and we're well over halfway home in the NBA. Trade deadline is in, 2 weeks, maybe a little under 2 weeks. All-Star weekend soon after that. Last year at the NBA trade deadline, we saw Luka Doncic get traded, which, again, is still beyond ridiculous to me that Dallas did that. Are we going to see something similar 2 years in a row? There is legit conversation that Giannis might be moved by February the 5th. Legit conversation. I mean, the trade deadline is coming, less than 2 weeks away. Could they really move Giannis out of Milwaukee? There's talk about it. We're going to talk about it with Sean Devaney of Heavy.com. He's been one of my NBA guys for years. He joins us in less than 10 minutes. We're also going to spend some time on Orlando. Now, they're battling tonight with Miami, but there's no doubt Orlando, my beloved Magic, are one of the biggest disappointments in the league this year. Getting Desmond Bane with Jalen Suggs and Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Look, we air a lot of Magic games here on 1010XL. We support them here in Jacksonville. You know, I'm a diehard fan, but they are one of the biggest disappointments in basketball. They entered tonight 23-22. They can't stay healthy. They're not winning games. There's talk about Paolo and head coach Jamal Mosley being at odds over a couple of things. It is not a good situation. And the question has to begin coming up, at what point are changes coming to Orlando? Well, I got news for you. They're not going to get rid of Paolo. If they're going to get rid of somebody, it's going to be the coach, Jamal Mosley. How much on the hot seat is he, particularly with a guy like Tom Thibodeau just sitting out there that could come in at a moment's notice? Also, you got Malone, the coach that won a world title in Denver, with the Nuggets also sitting out there, could come in at a moment's notice. Could we see potentially big changes for the Magic moving forward? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Giannis and the rest of the NBA trade deadline, and we'll take a look around the association as we are well past the halfway point. Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, talking NBA with us. Coming up next, right here on a Wednesday night, it's Hacker After Dark.
We love winning, and 1010XL wants you to win our contests. We also like to share the winning. That's why we ask you to wait 30 days to win again so others get a chance to have the winning feeling. Find complete contest details at 1010XL.com.
Rick Ballou here with a congratulations for John's Auto. They've been in business in Jacksonville for 40 years. That's right, going all the way back to 1985. Right now, they'd like to thank each and every one of you who's ever gotten their vehicle serviced at John's Auto. So, car, truck, or diesel, all makes, all models, whether it's a routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul, go to John's Auto on Arlington Road, johnautomotivejacks.com.
At Hollis Pools, building a pool is personal. We sit down with you, listen to your vision, and bring your backyard dreams to life right here in Northeast Florida. Working with us doesn't feel like working with a contractor. It feels like working with family. Every Hollis Pools project supports Project Savior Outdoors, helping bring hope to our veterans. Visit HollisPools.com. Hollis Pools, your vision, your pool, your escape. License number CPC 1461233.
Are you ready for another historic season at the bank? It's time to lock in your seats for 2026 by placing your deposit now. Next season will be played at Everbank Stadium, but seating capacity is limited due to in-bowl renovations, and spots are going fast. Don't miss out on your chance to see the season's biggest matchups and highlight real moments by placing your deposit at Jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000. Go Jags!
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It may be winter in Northeast Florida, but it's one of the most important times to protect your lawn. Prosser here for Julington Creek Pest Control. Their winterizer strengthens roots and improves cold tolerance. Pre-emergent treatments stop spring weeds before they ever start. What that means is you set the stage for a thicker, greener lawn when spring arrives. Call today to schedule your winter lawn treatment with Julington Creek Pest Control. Our family serving yours since 1984.
Hey folks, it's Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass, and I think you deserve a spa-like shower, don't you? Get rid of that dirty, dated setup you have in your bathroom. Those old-style showers can be really ugly. Install a gorgeous frameless shower with thick, sexy glass and a free diamond coating protection that's easier to clean, like Rain-X for your shower. Your bathroom will feel like a luxury spa every morning and night. You deserve it. Visit my friends at LeeandKate'sGlass.com.
You're gonna see a big difference.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Julington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Joe C. here. I tried playing handyman with my sprinklers and French drain, and royally failed. So I called Clearwater Irrigation and Drainage, and John Haney came out personally, just like he'll do for you.
You know it. And for a limited time, my good buddy Joe C's coming too.
Huh?
Ain't that right, Joe?
I gotta go to the game.
Go. Go.
Clearwater Irrigation.
At least do this part.
And drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
What Major League Baseball pitcher won over 500 games and pitched 749 complete games?
When your homeowner's insurance policy is up for renewal, it's a good idea to shop around to find a better plan. Southern Oak Insurance for over 20 years provides Floridians a clear option. SouthernOak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
With 511 wins and 749 complete games, Cy Young's record won't be matched.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, Green for Life.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahans' golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, we've been so caught up in the National Football League and everything happening in the playoffs and with the coaching carousel that you look at some of the other sports, particularly the NBA, and we're already past the halfway point of the NBA season. The trade deadline is approaching in just a couple of weeks. All-Star Weekend will be here before you know it. And a lot is going on in the NBA. Unfortunately, a lot of bad stuff is going on right now with the Orlando Magic. Let's talk about Orlando. Let's look around the rest of the association as well with one of our main NBA guys, and he's been so for years, Sean Devaney of Heavy.com, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Sean, how we doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well, Ryan. How about you?
Hey, Sean, we're good. Thank you for the time. I guess I'm doing as well as any Orlando Magic fan could be doing right now. Sean, there are problems there, right? I mean, let's just flat out be honest. Do they need a coaching change with Jamal Mosley?
Yeah, I mean, it does look like, when you get to a point in the season where things are unraveling, and you look at the personnel and health is no longer really an excuse. And, you've got all the players sort of where they're supposed to be, and they're just not responding anymore. Then that's sort of the next natural thing is, they could make a trade. Hard to see exactly what they would trade for that would completely turn things around. But this is a team that's built to play defense. And if you look, they have not played defense lately, and that's a pretty big concern. I was just looking at the numbers, and they were 15-10 on December 9th, and they were 5th in the league in defensive rating. Since then, the last 20 games, they're 8-12. They're 27th in defensive rating. And like I say, you can't point to injuries or anything with that. That is just an effort thing. That is a thing where you've got the personnel you want, and they can do this, but they're just not doing it for you anymore. So then, I think you do have to start looking at a potential coaching change.
I mean, a couple of years ago, it's been more than a couple of years ago, that Fournier, Vucevic, Aaron Gordon tenure for Orlando, there came a point when you knew that they had reached their ceiling. I don't think we've gotten there with Banchero, Wagner, and Suggs yet, so you're not going to blow up the team. Plus, you brought in Desmond Bane. You got an emerging Anthony Black. Wendell Carter Jr. has been good. I mean, it's a good roster, Sean. It's just you got to pinpoint something, and in situations like this, like you said, you normally go after the coach.
Yeah, no, I agree. When they're in that era, they kind of went as far as they were going to go. I don't think, especially after adding Desmond Bane, this was supposed to be a team that would take the next step from where they were last year, and we just haven't seen it happen. So the talent is much better than last year, but the results are not much different. And if anything, the injury bug was worse last year than it's been this year. So you start looking around for explanations, and it's really hard to find one other than maybe it's time to look at the coach and say that's an area where we can kind of control what we can control. Whatever else is going on, it's hard to explain, like I say, because everything else should be as they wanted it to be entering this season. So that's sort of the next natural place to look for a change, because something just isn't clicking with this group the way it ought to be.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, with us here on 1010XL. Final Orlando question, then we'll branch out to the rest of the Eastern Conference. If they were to let Jamal Mosley go, and I think we're at the point in time where you can start legitimately having that conversation, the NBA is weird. I mean, you could hire another big-time coach mid-season if they're available. You don't have to wait till the following year. Sean, I see Malone, the old Denver coach, with a world championship ring on his finger, just hanging out, right? I mean, is that somewhere Orlando would look?
I think for me, I think the guys who are, would be sort of the ideal fit would be either Malone or Tom Thibodeau, and both kind of from the same school in terms of they're going to ride you pretty hard, and some players might not like it. But you look at this group and you start to think that maybe that's what they need. The coach is going to go in there and throw some elbows and speak some truth, because right now they've been such massive underachievers, and so they've got to get somebody who can get them to that next level, and both of those guys have that in their history. So I would say, one of those two guys would probably be a guy you could plug in right now. Now, I think Thibodeau would be chomping at the bit to get back into the game. I think he feels like he was wronged by the Knicks, and he said recently that he'd be happy to take the next opportunity. I think that would be a good one for him. And of course, Malone, I think he's probably looking a little more to take the whole year off and come back next year. So we'll see what the timing of all this is, but I think either one of those guys is sort of exactly what that team needs right now.
And I would think Orlando would be an appealing job for guys like that, would it not?
Because they've got the talent. It's not a rebuild. I mean, this is it's just waiting to be unlocked, and I think maybe a different voice is what it will take to unlock it. And so yes, I absolutely, I think if you're a coach at that level, you don't want to go to Charlotte. You want to go somewhere where you have a chance to start winning relatively quick. And I think that's definitely the magic. I think this is a very, very just a massively underachieving team that the right coach could maybe, like I say, unlock a little bit.
A couple of more for Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. When we look around the Eastern Conference, Sean, I was told that this was going to be a rebuild for Boston after trading Porzingis and Holiday and Jason Tatum, obviously being out with the Achilles. Well, somebody didn't tell Boston that, because they're one of the real surprises right now.
Yeah, 29-17. Still a few games behind the Pistons, but number 2 in the Eastern Conference, and they've really been, like you say, a big surprise. I think there's been a few things that have been factored into that. One is, it's easy to look at the role players and point out that they've all done a good job, and there's no question. You've got to give Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens credit. Mazzulla for coaching and Brad Stevens for finding these guys, but Neemias Queta as the starting center has been really good, and that's really valuable. Jordan Walsh, who's sort of languished on the bench for 3 years, has gotten a chance, and he's been really good. The rookie Hugo Gonzalez has been surprising, and he keeps getting better and better. I think he's going to be a regular in that rotation, even when they're completely healthy. So they've done a nice job getting those role players, and that's sort of I live around in Boston, and that's sort of where the credit goes. But you've got to give credit to the star players who have all just really raised their game. And you've seen it with Jaylen Brown, probably in the MVP conversation. I don't know if he'll win it, but certainly should be among the top 5 finishers. He has been absolutely fantastic, and has sort of said, look, I've had to sacrifice, playing with Jason Tatum as the number 2 guy, but I can be this guy too. And he's certainly shown it. I think Derek White has been fantastic. He probably doesn't get enough credit. And same goes for Peyton Pritchard, who's been really, really good and kind of gets overlooked in all this, but he's raised his game as well. So as much as you can look at the role players and say that's great that they have, it's really, to me, it's been about the stars and what they've been able to do here.
When you look at the math on the Tatum injury, what was it, early May last year with the Achilles, is there a chance we're going to see him this season?
Yeah, I mean, his dad kind of raised some eyebrows when he said, maybe 9 months, which, for that injury would be pretty remarkable. But that would put him sometime in February. 10 months might be a little more realistic. If they could get him back by sort of mid-March, and you have a month to get yourself in some kind of shape, then yeah, there's a real chance that's it. They've been really all the reports about what he's been doing in rehab have been very, very encouraging. The strength is there, the agility is there. He looks great. He wants to be back. So yeah, there's definitely a real chance that we'll see him. It becomes then a question of, okay, how does he fit in? Do you come in and you try to beat Jason Tatum right away, or do you just try to fit into this team as it's currently constructed because they're doing pretty well? That's going to be a real challenge for them. But yeah, I would certainly expect that we'll see Jason Tatum on the floor this season.
I want to end with a thought out west, but quickly on the east. Detroit is leading it right now. They would be the number 1 seed. Is it their conference right now, or is it wide open?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, look, the Knicks are massively disappointing and are probably the best team in the East. We'll see if they pull it together. They're still the team that, if I'm betting before the playoffs, that's probably where I would put my money, even though they've been disappointing. They've got the most talent. But right now, the way the Pistons all fit together, the job that J.B. Bickerstaff has done, I think you'd have to have the Pistons as the favorite going in.
Same question out west. Oklahoma City was off to a ridiculous start, and they're still really good just as long as they don't play San Antonio. Is it Oklahoma City's conference out west right now?
Yeah, and I think the Spurs, obviously, the Thunder beat them last time out, and I think that was big just in terms of the mental aspect of things. But there's no question that the Spurs have their number, and so you get them in a playoff series, and that would be, I think, a pretty epic playoff series. I think the depth and the experience level for Oklahoma City would probably get them by. But yeah, I think right now it's Oklahoma City and everybody else. There's some good challenge. I mean, look, the Nuggets have played really well. The Rockets have been up and down, but at their best, they're very good. So I think there's some legitimate challengers. It's just right now, Oklahoma City is sort of head and shoulders above everybody else, with one team, the Spurs, sort of lurking as, for whatever reason, they seem to have the code to at least trying to beat this Thunder team.
Final moments, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. As far as the big teams out west, you mentioned the Nuggets, and they're doing a lot of this without Joker. I mean, he's going to be back at some point. The Lakers, I know they got a big win earlier this week. Luka went for 40 and 10, a 40-point double-double. He's ridiculous. What's your overall thought on the Lakers, the Nuggets, some of the bigger market teams out there?
Yeah, I think we'll have to see what happens at the trade deadline. I think I don't think we're going to see the kind of trade deadline we saw last year, where you had guys, obviously Luka getting traded and Anthony Davis. You had that deal, and then you had Jimmy Butler deal. You had some major deals going on in the middle of the season. I think it'll be less active in terms of the big names, but I think it's going to be just as important, because if you're the Lakers, you need to make some adjustments. You got to be able to play better defense. So I think what they do, if they can get a Herb Jones or a Trey Murphy from New Orleans, that would be a huge lift for them. That's really going to determine, to me, the Lakers as they're currently constructed don't have a chance to contend, but if they can make some changes, they could. I think the Warriors are going to be really interesting. Even with the Butler injury, they're going to keep trying to contend. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline. That's going to be something to keep an eye on as well. And teams like Minnesota looking for a point guard, and certainly Denver just looking to add depth. I think the trade deadline is going to be these teams' last chance to really make them into contenders that can keep up with Oklahoma City, because I don't think the way any of them are constructed right now that they can do it. All of them need at least one more piece.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Sean, leave us with this. We already saw Trae Young get dealt, 2 weeks or so ago. Big name. Who else should we be on the lookout for? You mentioned a couple of guys, but are there any, I guess, big-time names, i.e. like a Trae Young, that could be on the move?
I mean, Giannis is still the one that everybody's talking about, and even he's got the injury, and it's going to keep him out past the trade deadline. But that has not stopped the talk. And I think the Bucks have come to the realization that they've got to make a move on this guy sooner rather than later. The longer they wait, the more the price comes down. So right now, I think that's sort of what everyone is looking at is Giannis. Everybody feels like he's going to get traded. It's just a matter of whether it's now or in the summer. I think they could do better for themselves by doing it now, and so that's obviously the big one to watch.
Everybody, I mean, that's unthinkable that the Bucks would trade him, but nobody thought Luka would get dealt from the Mavericks last year. So after that, it's a never say never situation. We always enjoy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Sean, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about Heavy.com and the coverage you guys have there on the NBA.
Yeah, we're going full bore on the trade deadline here. Lots of rumors, lots of talk, and so we're trying to keep up with it all here.
Sean Devaney of Heavy.com. Sean, I know you're busy. Stay safe up there in New England, man. I know the snow has been brutal. Appreciate you taking time out, and we'll talk soon, pal.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
And thank you to Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to talk a little NBA. Yeah, every team is well past the halfway point of the NBA regular season. Trade deadline coming up in, I believe, less than 2 weeks. All-Star weekend soon after that. And as far as Orlando goes, you have to wonder how much longer head coach Jamal Mosley is going to be there. I mean, they have totally underachieved. They're playing lethargic. Quite frankly, they're playing pretty bad. There's rumors about a rift between he and Paolo Banchero. It's all the recipes for a coaching change in Orlando. Will that happen? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but it's certainly not good right now in Central Florida for a team that had so much promise coming into the year. They sit at, 23-22 currently on the season, and they would be in the play-in of the Eastern Conference playoffs if they started today. So we certainly spent some time on that, but as you can imagine, it was a lot of time on both the Jaguar coordinators, Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile, returning for 2026. Obviously spent time on that, as well as the fallout for Bill Belichick not being a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. Again, like I said last night, completely preposterous, ridiculous, asinine, flabbergasting, whatever verbiage you want to use. Anybody that did not vote for Bill Belichick to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, again, the question is, why are they voting then on the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I thought the voting process has been kind of outdated for a while, to be honest, and this just cements that, quite frankly. There needs to be some changes. Look, there are some people that vote on that committee that are well-respected, that I like a lot, including Jason Cole, who we had on tonight here on Hacker After Dark. I've had Jason on for years. I think he does a terrific job, and he is a well-respected person that votes on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But there have been issues with that in the past as far as how people are voted in, you know, if there are any grudges that are held or anything along those lines. And for this now, for Bill Belichick, of 6 Super Bowl titles, the most playoff wins in the history of the NFL, I mean, you name it, he's got record after record after record, to not get in on the first ballot just goes to show you that changes probably need to be made from how that voting process is indeed carried out. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM, and we have a ton of people to thank. Again, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Always enjoy talking NBA and Orlando Magic with Sean. Thank you to Mark Long of the Associated Press. Certainly enjoyed Mark stopping by to talk Jaguars and the returning coordinator situation with both Udinski and Campanile coming back. We also spent a little time on John Summerall and how his first 2 months on the job have gone over there in Gainesville. And we had Jason Cole, as I mentioned, a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. Only 50 people vote on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I had one of them on with me tonight here on Hacker After Dark, and I thought some of the things Jason said about Belichick not getting in, about Fred Taylor possibly not getting in, and the reasoning why was really interesting. And if you missed that conversation, go back and check it out, 1010XL.com on demand or on any of the streams that we stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, etc. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.